we're in. And we're off.
That's Jesse to start.
So Jesse, question with this kind of rack is do you play long, do you play short? Is lined up Farina there. I quite like Oaf, actually, over Farina. I mean, I guess the rain keep is strengthened if you keep an E, so maybe Oaf keeping Rhine would be a clear decision. But,
Yeah, those are basically your two choices, Farina or Oaf. And for what it's worth, the Quackle Sim prefers Farina by a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, as a very general rule, if you don't have an E in your keep, you'll want to play long because it's not going to be worth that much more. You're usually giving up 10 to 12 points by playing short if you have a big tile.
Yes. I suppose there's no way of playing Oaf defensively either. You're leaving an O or an A, which are big scoring vowels for J play, Z play, X play. So.
And often part of the defensive consideration of playing short is you're not exposing an E to your opponent, but in this case there's no E to expose.
Absolutely.
So Farina's a strong choice.
So Nigel straight away with clunky rack, but he does have a means of sorting it out. You can see from what he's lined up, he has a vocab. Gives nothing away. It does leave an O next to the triple letter score, but there's no way of utilising that triple letter score meaningfully because he's got a V and a C on the side.
Yeah, and Nigel's scoring tiles, including CCV in that rack, means that it's really difficult to take advantage of those colored squares next to the vowels that Jesse's play left.
Yeah.
So pretty straightforward from both players so far.
Jesse lining up Kui across the top of Farina.
That scores 26 for Jesse, 24 for Nigel. So they're pretty much essentially even. Jesse with the tempo lead that you get from starting. Well, he has Kopei lined up, which is going to score 8 points more at the disadvantage of keeping a much worse lead.
Bad keep. I mean, I prefer Kui as well because by making Ya, you have the P to hook on both ends of it. So you have the Yap.
Yep. And if nothing else, you'll be able to put the P at F6.
Yeah.
No, you won't, because POR isn't a thing. But
I mean, it's
if you play downward pour or something like that, could work. Kui goes down, bring Jesse to 57.
Nigel there would have, well, he's been saved really because Cud Stain isn't a word, so it's going to be quite lucky that Jesse has stopped him playing that, embarrassing himself in the World Championship final. I joke, ladies and gentlemen. He would have Custodian if we were playing Clabbers.
I always find it, you spend several minutes just debating with yourself, wondering, is this good, is this not good, I'm going to have to try it, and then that sigh of relief when your opponent blocks the spot.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can keep this moment of stupidity to myself.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those in this tournament.
Jesse playing Doc, that's, again...
Oh, Nigel playing Doc, yeah. So Nigel, the score's now 57 to Jesse, 47 to Nigel. So 23 points for Doc. Jesse has Apogees, which plays making Kuis. Oh, wow. He also has, well, I'll let Chris tell you.
Yeah, Jesse also has a 9-letter bonus, which we'll let the chat room try and find for a moment before giving it away. But if he finds that, that's truly a World Championship caliber play.
Absolutely.
If he finds this. But barring that, the other bonuses are certainly serviceable.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those situations where he would probably see apogees immediately because you default to making the S with a blank and S. And that's going to be the most powerful letter you'll make it. However, epigoge should be in his word knowledge. There we go, epigoge should be in his word knowledge. It's very easy if you were just playing quickly, trying to blitz your opponent, just whack down apogees. It's not the right play. Epigoge is. Epigoge also has the defensive bonus of where it positions the G's, so while you are putting the O next to the double letter score, it does have a G after it, so you're going to have the right tiles. Nigel does have the Z, but wouldn't have a big play across the top of Epigoge.
Yeah, it had Zaw, but that's about it. He wouldn't have the 100-point comeback. It would be
Absolutely.
closer to 50, 40.
Nigel having also competed in the French Championships of this year's Hotel Scrabble event, coming second, he'll probably be ruining the fact that he's not able to play Zoot. Oh, interesting, Epigoge cross. That's more defensive.
Yeah, even better than playing it on the bottom. Jesse missing Paleo Gene through the EN, but Epigoge certainly a reasonable play. Gives up 4 points from the position in the bottom, but is much more defensive and saves the heartache of a large Z play. So that puts Jesse on 131.
Now looking at he's got Luz, which will go across the top of Epigoge. He's played it incredibly quickly. 39 points, putting Nigel to 86. SANT, he's probably played it so quickly because he's setting up his A across the top. Of course, we know that Jesse has some big DZO plays.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple big plays that Jesse's gonna, one assumes, will get down.
But interestingly, Nigel will not then be able to play with bonuses.
Jesse has Doth lined up, which top scores in this position. He also could possibly play Daup, keeping GHT, which has synergy,
Yeah,
is a
has
leave.
more synergy, absolutely, than Pug, but Doth does set up Pew on the next move. So that's 50 points, that takes Jesse to 181, so he has a 95-point lead, and Nigel does not have a playable bonus, despite having a very, very strong rack.
So yeah, this is one of those, when your opponent has a Satine bingo, like easy, strong rack, it's often that they can't score if the bonus doesn't play.
Yeah.
So the timing of those racks often is a matter of luck, even more so than the tiles that your opponent's drawn.
Yeah, absolutely. Nigel there looking at maybe playing Savin, setting up the E hook, keeping ET, creating a fairly open 7-letter play down the side. He's played that instead. I guess the logic behind that is he's taking out scores down TH. He's got the S for the Epigoge's opening, he's got the S for the vocab's opening. What else is Jesse going to do in order to score on this board? Unless he has an S.
So yeah, Nigel's up to 98 to Jesse's 181. Still a large bonus behind.
But Nigel does have a playable bonus now, making Piat. He's got Theines at the very least. And if Jesse does play Spug, then he's going to have Theines and Spugs.
Theines is molecule that's the analog to caffeine that's in tea.
Ah. Did you know that theism, as in a belief in God, can also be pronounced teism, which is a morbid state attained through drinking too much tea?
Ah.
So I think the best play here has to be sub pig.
No floating tea for pig butts.
No, sadly not. I like pig butts, I cannot lie. Sadly, no, the T is not an H for bush pig.
Spug seems like a pretty reasonable, normal play here. It's going to score well, take out the biggest threat line.
It's difficult to see what else he's going to do, and he's got bugs lined up to take out the vocabs opening. Which maybe he's thinking, well, it's not bad, because if Nigel doesn't have an S, Epigode is pretty much a closed opportunity. And I guess it does hang a floater out. So if you're banking on him not having an S, you're actually giving him, you're taking out an S hook that he can't use, I suppose.
Yeah, the P is going to be marginally better tile than the B, but I don't know, if you're going to block one S spot, you may as well block the highest scoring one.
Well, but the vocabs one is more flexible, so you have to start with an S with Epigode, whereas you can have the S more or less anywhere in the word if you're playing vocabs. This is one of those where he might also just be playing default Scrabble, which is to get rid of the clunky tiles rather than think about position.
Right.
But I would almost be tempted to play bugs.
Certainly a pretty marginal decision between the two. I think either's quite defensible.
It will be telling though how the wind's going to blow with this one if he now picks out the Q.
This is true.
So Nigel is going to probably take a few minutes to decide to play Theons and play out.
Yeah, and Jesse's up to 207 now.
207 to Jesse, so he's 109 up. So Nigel could really do with about a 70-point bonus while he's got a cameraman in the cube with him, pointing a camera in his face.
And guess what the first tile out of the bag for Jesse was?
The Q, yeah.
Yeah, over the lunch break, Jesse was asking about the second game where Nigel played played GOT and then pulled the A.
Yeah.
And he thought for sure Nigel was holding the A as a setup. And no, he pulled just the right tile out of the bag, and now I guess turnabout's fair play.
So Jesse has a few options now with the Q. Not only the one that he's just set up with the U, but he could play across the top of Theons.
So Nigel's up to 170 with that bonus.
Has Jesse? No, Jesse's not challenged. But like Nigel was staring at him, being told to hold. The scores now are 207 to Jesse and 170 to Nigel. 72 for Theons. Tains, I suppose it is. Question is, does he play Quail? Does he consider? I mean, Pimmer actually would be a reasonable choice, which is now laying up on his rack. Pimmer closes all of the floaters of Theons. He's still 37 up, so go back to a bingo-sized lead, and he's got the Q play. Nigel, however, has picked out Mantos, which does not play.
So yeah, Pima goes down, scoring 52, bringing Jesse to 259.
Yeah, so 89-point lead.
Saving the Q with the spot open. If that spot gets blocked though, then Jesse could have a bit of trouble offloading the Q.
And it's the only real position that, well, Nigel does have the option of playing just MA or something underneath. Looking at mean underneath Theons. Could even play Ment. And it does also, well actually it doesn't do anything for the board. maybe Nigel's getting into a situation where he's strangling the board so that any move that Jesse makes has to open it up. Jesse, in the meantime, has drawn absolute rubbish.
Yeah. And Mint scores enough, brings Nigel up to 215, scores enough that he's well within one bonus,
Yeah.
whereas something that scored less,
Yeah, absolutely.
you might be in trouble of falling more than that bonus behind.
Is there no benefit in maybe playing something like Man underneath, almost tempting Jesse to just play something making EA something, so he's creating an S hook for your S? Jesse just takes the score with the J, and added benefit of knocking out the V.
Yeah, that's
It's the only play apart from a change. It's quite a group of people now gathering around. Not able to see off camera, but we've got members of the public coming and playing. We've got Scrabble themed drawing pages, so we've got kids drawing on paper. We've got a family having an argument about the validity of a word over in the corner. It's fantastic. A small child crying. Everything you want to see in the world of Scrabble. In the meantime, Nigel looking at just nub, fug and new.
Jesse's on 295 after dropping the J. And Nigel's 215. Jesse keeps putting the scoring pressure on.
Yep. I mean, this is a fascinating part of Nigel's play. That most players in this situation, right, I'm 80 behind. I can play a bound, keeping ST to blow the board open. I think most people would do that, but Nigel looks like he's just playing nub, which forces his opponent to make the opening.
Yeah. Can't really be much inference about Jesse's rack after
J,
Pima and then.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
Joe.
well, he's played off one tile, so you might think Jesse's actually got a strong rack. So he's balanced. He's just. So either he's got an awful rack or he's got a very strong rack. If Nigel plays a bound, then he runs the risk of running into one of those two options, which is a really strong rack. If he plays nub, he wins either way. He gains points, and either Jesse has no plays, or he has limited plays with a really, really good rack, which means he's going to have to destroy his rack. So that brings Nigel to 231, so he is 64 behind. But, wow. We've barely had any vertical moves, which, considering that Nigel opens vertically, is quite impressive. So Jesse's changing 5, keeping RT. There are 5 R's unseen from his point of view, so I probably would have dumped the R in as well. The value of the S and the blank, well, the blank's always valuable, the S not so useful on this board. So, yeah, Jesse's drawn retaxed.
And there's absolutely no play in this position anywhere. There's things Nigel can do, GHIS or GHI, making jag.
It looks like he's just playing GHI.
To score a little bit, but there's no lanes to do some dynamic things, and Nigel's just patiently biding his time.
It's into 18, 249, so now he's only 4 to 6 points adrift. And Nigel, he could have burned his S then, to score an extra few points, but the danger there is that if Jesse does make a limited opening, creating an S hook, Nigel doesn't want to be in a position that he can't utilise it, and actually Nigel has now picked out a really, really strong rack, so any opening at all from Jesse is almost certainly going to give Nigel a bonus.
How can Jesse score points with this without creating any openings? Not really extra.
Extra will lose to Troades across the top. Wow.
Yeah, there's a limited number of places that tiles will fit on the board. without
Grinned.
giving something back.
It's very difficult to see anything at all.
Rav,
Yeah, Rav.
you know, that then play in response. It sets up XED. No,
Yep.
it doesn't. That would play Rev, but you can't play Rev.
Yeah.
So play Dev. That's it. Play Dev, setting up XED.
XED. Yeah, that's nice. That's
and then if Nigel makes a play across row 4,
Yes.
you have stuff down the triple.
Yeah, that's neat. That is neat. Although then setting up XED, you do create a position across the top.
Right.
For a big play, making XED, which, I mean, Nigel's already worked all this out. He knows all of this.
But yeah, from Jesse's position, if he keep scoring regularly, he doesn't need an opening.
No, but he has to keep scoring regularly. At the moment, he can't really score. Do you think also that Nigel will favour this kind of position because it will mean that Jesse will burn thinking time and Nigel doesn't need it as much?
That's possible as well.
I mean, I don't think Nigel would deliberately play that. I think Nigel would just play his move. Personally, I think he plays the game rather than the player. But
Yeah.
there's certainly some players, if they're playing someone who is known for taking all of their time, will play quicker to try and push them over.
Yeah. I believe you used that to effect.
I've used that to effect.
Somewhat recently.
Yeah, I may have done it in a certain World Championship final, and that's brilliant play, really, really strong play by Jesse. Doesn't create any openings, sets up his X, maintains 305 to 249 lead, so he's 56 up, but it's 56 up on a board that really does nothing. So unfortunately not got the right floaters for Archaeopteryx.
Yeah. And you can't play X-Raid.
No.
But Yex will probably do fine if it's still open. There's got to be a certain satisfaction of pulling a setup on Nigel. See what he does on the other side of the table for once.
Absolutely. It's one of those situations though where he didn't really have any other choices. So you either play a really nice setup or pass.
Yeah.
Actually, that would have been interesting if he passed to see what Nigel's reaction would have been.
Nigel can't pass back.
This is true.
Just pass and stare him down.
Question I've never really clarified, but I know you've had some insight into this. So, say you get to the final of the World Championships, and you're in the final game, and you've won. Say you're a point ahead. You go out playing a blank onto a blank for 0. Does that count as a move? Because I'm sure the definition of a move is it scores points. A zero is points, I suppose.
I believe the way it's written, it does not count as a move.
Nigel has played a great move there. Blocks the, I say obvious setup. I mean, it's the only position to score anything on the board, so it's not an obvious setup. But scores now 305 to Jesse and 249 to Nigel. But Nigel has picked out the D. They've got Wilders, among other things. Let's just say among other things. Weldors.
We're showcasing the game to an international audience, and everyone's playing 3-letter words.
But Jesse can't block it.
Yeah, it's thrilling stuff.
Yeah, that's quite something. So maybe Jesse should give up that part, play Braxy, keeping RET. 34 points.
Yeah.
We'll take him to 339. Nigel's 266 rather than 268. So just getting a score correction here. That Nigel's on 266. There we go.
So yeah, when you try and pull a setup on Nigel, that's what happens.
Sets it right back at you.
He is a judo master.
We are now surrounded here in the commentary booth. The branded elephants have just been led through, and the ostriches are now being tidied up after. The champagne fountain still going fine. He's going to play Braxy. He's going to play Braxy. Retry. Where's he going to play retry? Oh, does he think that rote is a word? This would, because that would be a great move if rote were a word, but it's not. It's R-O-A-T-E. If he plays rote instantly. Wow. Okay. Is he playing with us?
Yeah. The mouse evades the cat.
Yeah. I think he knows, well, we all know Nigel well enough to know that things like oats are clear setups. Nigel still does have swirled instead. That's the beauty of his play, actually. It sets up the Essek as a second option. So Jesse now on 319 to Nigel's 266.
But swirled goes down, and Jesse has a shot at both the A4 square and the row 1. So.
And Jesse has the real scoring tiles on this very, very tight board. So we'd expect something like, I don't know, swirls to be met by AKE down the side of Tylo, taking Jesse back into a 30-point lead or so.
Yeah, Jesse will still have tempo lead after this sequence.
And from Nigel's point of view, there is still an S in the bag. Lots of I's, a few E's, and the Q, which on this board is going to be a killer.
Well, the swirl does put an I in a spot that's useful, at least to drop the Q.
So, having said earlier on that we'll see where the wind is blowing if Jesse picks the Q after setting it up, we will certainly see where the wind is blowing if Nigel plays swirled and picks out QUA. You can probably hear the screaming in the background, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the UK's top players. He's just had a word disallowed. He's sure it's a word, but there you go. Yeah, no, it's definitely not. It's coming in next year. So, Nigel doing his traditional wait and see. I think he really enjoys these kinds of boards because he likes the mental challenge of solving complex positions.
Yeah, and these are about the most complex positions you can get. Each play creates brand new openings, and you have to judge how your opponent is going to react to them and what you'll be able to do to capitalize on your opponent's reaction.
Absolutely.
So, you know, the people who are familiar with chess often ask Scrabble players, how many moves deep do you think? And it very much depends on the position. If it's a bonus or some obvious scoring play, you just think, okay, this is the best move for my rack, and you play your equity. On a board like this, you need to think 2, maybe even 3 moves ahead to determine what to do.
Reminds me very much of my game against you, where I had a lead and I had to chase you around the board, stopping you from opening. I'd rather have had Jesse's rack than my 2 Gs, 2 Ls, RN, V or something.
Right. So we're waiting on Nigel to almost certainly play his bonus. And there's a crowd of probably maybe 24 people hovered around their glass cage, watching in anticipation as Nigel plays Swirled for a cool 67 points, putting him on 3-3-3.
So Nigel streaks into a 14-point lead, but is about to go back down very slightly. And I think this pickup is going to be, it's probably going to be the key pickup of the matchup. If Nigel picks a balanced rack, then he has a good chance drawing something well.
So the question is, does Jesse cash the X, or does he take out the dangerous column A?
Yeah, of course. Oh no, he cashes the X because it also takes out the dangerous column A. 54.
Yeah.
Although Nigel hasn't drawn the Q, notably. So I think Jesse has to catch the X for 54. Puts him 40 up.
There's actually not much in the bag that fits at that A4 square, if anything.
No.
So, looking at the tracking, it's
not
really scary.
The scariest thing now is the danger of a Q stick.
And AX blocks the 9-timer, so that actually does what Jesse needs it to do entirely.
So Jesse up to 373 now, so 40 points in the lead. He's picked out that U, which is, well, usually you think it'd be a safeguard for the Q, but the Q still isn't going down. The only place he's going to be able to play it is underneath the B of bugs as things stand.
Yeah, there's all of the eyes are out of the bag.
Yeah.
No, wait, there's one more eye in the bag. One's on Jesse's rack, 2 on Nigel's rack, 1 unplayed. So, but yeah, Jesse will be happy to see an I and a U. He does pull the Q. There's 1 Q I spot.
Actually, no, there's 2 in the bag, I think. So, so there's 3 in the bag from Nigel's point of view.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so there's 2 in the bag.
So there's 2 more eyes in the bag.
I mean, Nigel's in a situation here, I think he's looking at While. He probably has to play While. I mean, he's going to be worried about plays ending in things like Filk would be, or Silk. Actually, no, the S's are gone from his point of view, so Talk would be pretty catastrophic. So he's got just the IE. I wonder what he's considering with that. Playing Fugi, that's what he's considering. It's a shrewd move.
He's got to develop the bottom part of the board.
Yeah. He knows that he's not going to win a battle up the top, and if he keeps the board tight... What's he picked out? Oh, okay. So he hasn't...
What's Jesse?
Jesse's playing Uke.
Playing Uke. Top scores by a margin.
39, yeah, takes him to 4-1-2.
4-1-1.
4-1-1.
Yeah.
That puts Jesse well into a strong lead. Jesse's picked the Q. So
it's all going to happen now because there's exactly 7 in the bag, and Nigel's about to empty out the number.
Yeah.
Which
Jesse will. Oh.
Jesse won't eat the cube. Nigel's bonus will at least give him a place where it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to come down to a tight end game.
So it'll be 66. So Nigel will be 399. We expect. Oh no, sorry, 351. He's on now. So Nigel will be on 417. So Nigel would be 6 up. 6 up, but Jesse will not eat the cue. But from Nigel's point of view, there's oration in the bag. Hold on. So there's oration in the bag. Are we saying? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting. So Quackle is suggesting that after Wiselier, Jesse has no win.
Nigel hasn't made his play yet, so just
So is that right? Yeah. Okay.
So we expect, I mean, Fugi was a brilliant play. There's Nigel going, Nigel's not playing. Oh.
Nigel passes up the bonus.
Nigel passes up the bonus.
Oh, why? As the tiles fell, playing the bonus wins.
Yes, but if he got Q stuck, he was going to lose.
Exactly, yeah. So this puts Nigel at 375 to Jesse's 411 and leaves
Nigel
4 tiles in the bag.
Nigel has not picked out a bonus. However, if Jesse offloads his Q, Nigel will play a bonus. So 4 in the bag. So all Nigel's really going to be worried about now is getting Q stuck. And in unsticking himself from the Q, Jesse is going to let Nigel win. Because
Inserter fits beautifully under QI.
It does.
And those extra points from those hooks are going to probably decide the game.
Yep.
All right, let's...
So Nigel currently 36 behind, but from Jesse's point of view, there's some really good tiles out. That E is a problem. But if he blocks the E, Nigel is almost certainly going to smell the Q. Well, Nigel will have no choice but to smell the Q because it's the only way he's going to win.
Is there any play for Jesse to block the E and set up another QI spot so that both QI spots can't be taken out?
He could play Fern down from the E of Fugi, which would score 19. It would set up QIN on the triple as well as leaving the BI position. And we know, but Jesse doesn't, that wouldn't leave. I don't think that would leave a playable bingo for Nigel if he did it.
Not as the tiles fell.
But with the unseen tiles from
Given the pool,
Jesse's point of view, you don't want to be hanging an R and N out, particularly in nine tile position.
So, looking a couple moves ahead, if Jesse plays QI and Nigel plays Inserter, Quackle says that wins 8 out of 9 times. So it actually depends what gets drawn out of the bag as to how it finishes out. Hard to say. Is there
I think
some 2-tile pull that Jesse pulls a bonus out after Inserter, or something like that? For lane, that won't go.
Interesting. It's not.
It's quite tense, and the crowd crushed up against the glass to see where the cue will be played and what's going to happen.
The cue. He's not playing the cue. What's he doing? He's playing Lear, which sets up the F.
Oh wow! But what's he going to do with the cue?
Nothing. That's Well, he was probably attracted to that because it sets up QIN underneath and creates a fleer hook, but he's not going to get to play it because Nigel. So hold on, how many in the bag? One in the bag. Nigel plays Rins and Fugi. 24 takes him to 399 to Jesse's 415. Jesse's dead.
Yeah, Jesse's at 415 now. 40 points clear.
I mean, well,
And yeah,
would Rins win?
if Jesse can get the F down for 45 points, he may be able to withstand a Q stick.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, of course, because
He's 40 clear now. Can Nigel pick up 60 points with
true.
1 point tiles that are in the bag? Assuming he misses. So yeah.
So if, so if Nigel just fish, hold on, so there's one in the bag, is that right?
One in the bag, yeah.
Right, and we know that's an A. So Nigel could end up with a retains rack.
This is incredibly tense endgame. We know both the wrecks. We know how the tiles fall. If Jesse had just played QI, he loses a good percentage of the time.
Nigel's playing the winning move because Jesse doesn't have a 40-point F play.
According to Quackle, that's...
But Quackle doesn't know the racks, does it? Or actually no, it doesn't matter because... Sure, it must win.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 100% win. So Nigel has won. So the scores now are 4-1-5 to Jesse, but 4-0-5 to Nigel. And the best that Jesse can do is just play throw and fleer. Wow, this one could hurt Jesse because he was in a dominant position. Without knowing what was in the bag, apparently Rinser only had about a 22% chance of winning. That's amazing.
Yep.
So Nigel has pulled this one back, and that Q has really hurt Jesse on a very, very tight board.
Yeah, this is the sort of game that Nigel excels at. So, you know, trying to outplay him on one of these boards. It's the most difficult task in Scrabble in the world.
Absolutely.
Is to outplay the master at his own style of game. Jesse under a minute, so we're expecting to move shortly.
Yeah,
Quack.
43 seconds. Nigel has 4 minutes 47.
So the Quackle rates just throw the best. There's no way to get out of eating the Q.
Talking of queues, there's a huge one queuing up to play Scrabble, to buy t-shirts, to buy Scrabble balloons. You've got the opportunity here to get your child's first words printed onto a t-shirt.
Riff 4 points under optimal, but
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
the only way Nigel can lose now is to not play out.
4-3-3, and he goes out with Ita for 12 points. Jesse giving him 8 points and holding the cue on it. Oh no! A shameful display of good sportsmanship. So yeah, Nigel goes out to the final score 4-1-5 to 4-3-3 to Jesse and 4-4-5 to Nigel, winning on countback with the cue. That was a tough game. But really, I think that oat play was, well, firstly the dev play was inspired, and then the oat play was, like we say, it was the master taking a dragon punch from his pupil and turning it into a full-on fireball back in the face. It's going to be important now for Jesse to keep his composure on this one. There wasn't a lot he could have done. He couldn't have. I think that cue was an issue.
Yeah. Take a walk. You know, right up the escalator, right down the escalator. Clear your mind. You know, maybe go get a coffee.
Yeah.
And come back, because the next one is vitally important.
Thing is, and this is something I try to explain to people at home, non-Scrabble players, they would look at Fern as the winning play. So they go, oh, that's got to be the best move. It wins the game. But it was suicidal in this situation. So yeah, I've said it before. I've said it once. I'll always say it. You have to play the move that's most likely to win the game in all situations, rather than the move that will win the game in that particular situation. Fern was a terrible move, unless you knew exactly what the racks were, in which case it was probably a winner. There you go. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for the third, much closer, much more exciting game in these Mattel 2018 World Scrabble Championship Finals. Nigel Richards, beard and all, goes into a 2-1 lead over Jesse Day from New York. Going to have a few minutes now. All the players obviously come out, get a breath of fresh air, and stretch their legs. So we'll be back with you after this short break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are about to commence the 4th game of the Mattel 2018 World Scrabble Championship here in Westfields, Shepherd's Bush. Nigel Richards leads over Jesse Day 2-1 after that really tense, tight battle. Just giving the thumbs up that they can commence. Nigel now with the first move advantage, which has varied in reckonings over the years as to how much of an advantage it is to go first, but it's probably about a 5 to 6% win rate advantage. So if you're going first, you should win about 53%, 54% of your games. Particularly if, as Nigel is doing, you pick like that. Although Jesse's not picking too badly as well. I say possibly giving him the kiss of death. And Nigel lining up La Volts there, which has to be the best play. I haven't actually seen another bonus in that rack yet. Yep, it is the only bonus in that rack. La Volte being a verb. I must admit, I don't know what it means, so I'm going to check. Oh, La Volte is an old dance for 2 persons, like Scrabble. So Nigel will do his traditional think about it. Probably the only thing he's just double checking is that he doesn't have an alternative 7 which doesn't leave the S on the middle tile. And of course he will play it downwards because Nigel likes to watch the world burn. 76 points. Not the kind of thing you want to see coming down from your opponent when you've just picked out some reasonable tiles followed by a lot of clunk. Jesse would have been hoping for a floating D for Bluidia. Or also a Z for Bruilsy. Nigel does need an R for impaired with that rack, and obviously Jesse does have an R, so Chris Life is back with me now.
Yeah, it looks like Nigel's off to a rousing start.
Healthy start, yeah. I'm just trying to look at what Jesse's options are. Relatively limited.
Yeah, it looks like his highest.
His higher score is not much of a score at all.
Yeah.
It's Bibeer off the V, keeping UL, which is now lining up in his rack. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, they definitely can't hear us. We can barely hear each other. I must say it's amazing the level of composure that these two are keeping when they're surrounded by tens of thousands of spectators they are at the moment.
People banging on the cage, expecting them to perform like a trained animal. Dance, Nigel, dance.
Yeah, if there's one thing guaranteed to put a Scrabble player off his pace is people banging. So I think think Jesse's going to whack down Vibier.
5 years as good as anything. Like,
Yeah.
difficult to get a great leave with the rack. Just score what you can, play as many tiles as you can, and move on.
Yep.
In general, if you're going to have a bad leave, you want it to be a short bad leave, so you have some chance to draw into something.
Yeah. And keeping you well, he's got the opportunity to play some really impressive bingos through the floating L's and stamp his authority on this match. Leipimia, what's the correct play? Oh, no. Ain't that. I mean, Leipimia would be an interesting play here. In that it would. Scores are 76 to Nigel and 22 to Jesse.
Yeah, Nigel has the opportunity to give me a shout out. I'm happy to see that.
And I think, I mean, Leipimia is a Nigel-y kind of play in that it's going to, well, it's going to do that. It's going to frustrate all of the floaters of Vibier because you won't be able to play through them, you can play down from them. It leaves the M in an awkward position so that Jesse can't score bigly across unless he's got an M to play at or an H for Jesse will be tempted, may be tempted to play a 3-letter play across the top, but of course in playing that 3-letter play he's getting rid of the S hook on Leipimia, which is an opening that Nigel will be thinking I want to get rid of. And of course if he leaves it, Nigel has it next move. And it turns over 6 tiles to give him a shot at the S's and blanks, or S's and 1 blank left.
Nigel's on 110 now.
Yeah, Nigel on 110.
Jesse on 22.
Jesse though with Trunnels. Pretty much face value, but he's going to play it. There aren't really any other options. I think he'll just think about it for a short while, but Trunnels is the play. Nigel already has wood set up on his rack.
As Nigel will, after Trunnels goes down, Nigel will immediately enter his dormant phase for 45 seconds before playing the bonus.
Yep. Yeah, wood note. Oh yes, of course, wood note. Sorry, I didn't even notice that. I was wondering why Nigel was going to insert his wood, but he's got wood note there that can go beautifully under Vibier. But it looks like Jesse's not sure of Trunnels. Is Trunnels OSW only? CSW rather?
I think it's MTWL, but it's one of those that's high prob, so you learn it relatively early and it doesn't come up much. So it's...
Because he's now looking at Lun rather, just Lun across the top of Leipimia, which does, I mean, he would play Trunnels immediately if he was certain of it, wouldn't he? Yeah, this could be so move 2. It could be a killer straight away if he doesn't play Trunnels. I think Trunnels would create a nice dynamic opening onto the triple, which would give him a shot at coming back from wood note. Lun is going to score virtually nothing. Oh dear, that was a big miss. That is a big miss. So just 11 points for Jesse there when he should have been scoring 59. That takes him to 33. And Nigel will bang down wood note in no time at all. Jesse's got a strong keep, so he may get his way out of it with a big play down making Leipimias, but we wouldn't have expected him to miss Trunnels at this point. I don't know whether he was... Well, actually, he had Runnels on his rack, so maybe he was just blind because of the T being the blank. I don't know. Has he got a vowel? He's got, there we go, he's got Stone Urn and Leipimias, so he will have a shot at getting back into it. As you may have been aware, ladies and gentlemen, we had a total of 6 international Scrabble languages being played down in Torquay this weekend, this week. And I can see we've just been joined by the Norwegians who've come up to watch the 2018 Mattel World Scrabble Championship final with us. I think they're all certainly more capable at English than I am with Norwegian, so I think they enjoy watching the games in both languages.
But yeah, you walk by some of their boards not realizing that they're playing in Norwegian, and then just wonder to yourself, why don't I recognize any of these words?
Nigel opting to play wood tone instead of wood note. Any reason, do we think? Actually, I think I can see why, because if he played wood note, there would be a play of lays and itta. Playing wood tone doesn't leave that. So, in every sense, the right move. Taking Nigel to a 190 point to 33 point lead. As we know, he should still be in a 100 point lead, but not quite that much. So, Jesse will absolutely see Stoner now. So, yeah, 190 to Nigel, 33 to Jesse. And if Nigel continues to draw, oh geez, well, Nigel has continued to draw scoring racks, so I think Stoner has to be played. He's playing on tenos. Why? So,
it does block Nigel's J, but at what cost?
Yeah, it blocks the J, but actually the way that you're forming that board over on that side is not favourable to you. He's killed the S. He's killed all the float. Well, he's killed the WOO floating of wood tone. That's Stoner was the play there. Stoner I know is CSW only. So maybe I don't know. Maybe again a bit of dictionary blindness. I mean, he has picked out nepetas and pesant.
Don't panic, Jesse. Take a deep breath.
But yeah, so 41 for Nigel brings Nigel to 231. Jesse on 101. Most importantly, though, that Ag play now takes out the S opening that Jesse should have taken with his last move. So Jesse does have nepetas, does play down the side of Nortenos. Sorry, Norteños. I'd like to, obviously I've been brushing up on my Spanish pronunciation. I'd like to thank Terry Kangrao for telling me that Albondigas is pronounced Albondigas. Oh, Nigel has the identical rack to what Jesse started a couple of games ago with. There really is very limited variety in Scrabble, isn't there? I mean, you don't need to learn about a dozen words. Or penates, nepetas, yeah.
Yeah. Pesante plays too. They all fit in the exact same spot.
Yeah. So, a penates for 81. Taking Jesse to 182. So there is still a bit of life in this game. Nigel though with a 49 point lead. The board is still reasonably open, so there are opportunities and shots at having comebacks.
Jesse'd love to see a blank.
Or just draw something that's balanced. Oh, needs an O. Needs an O. Doesn't have an O. No chiefdom available on this move. Unless Nigel plays one. Which I can't see happening.
It's a workable combination, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're possibly looking, given how Nigel's got his rack set up, at Faro down the side of penates.
going to give back FEHM for a bunch.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if it works out that way, Nigel scores 28, Jesse comes back for about 50 or 55, and suddenly he's only down 20 or 30 points. He's down, a small bingo.
He's not. He's just playing 4.
Yeah. The risk of that opening was too great.
Yeah.
So reasonable play brings Nigel to 2-5-1. Jesse still has some scoring opportunities for certain.
Just a minor shout out, not even a minor shout out here, so you know that while we were playing the top division qualifying tournament, the 35 games over this week to select the final 8 for the quarter, semis and finals, there was also a Division 2 tournament running alongside, which have followed a similar format, quarters, semis and finals. The winner of that is one of the players who I also had the pleasure of commentating and awarding a prize in the 2018 Mattel Junior World Scrabble Championship. A young man by the name of Hamad Hadi Khan from Pakistan. They have a superb following of Scrabble and a lot of very strong players. So Jesse's played Chef, which I think is probably the highest score available, keeping mid. Scoring 35, taking 217. So 34 behind now. Nigel does have a bonus. I'm not sure if he's seen it. Maybe he's just considering playing over, keeping Ryan. And he's going to have a quick look through to see if he can see anything better than that, but it's going to go down pretty quickly, I think. There is nothing else worth looking at. The nice thing about Ovarian is that it's also frustrating. All the floaters it's leaving are frustrating one another with floaters of pen 8s. It's not what you want to see when you're Jesse at this point.
Yeah, mounting a comeback like that kind of requires your opponent have some frustrations on his own.
Yeah.
Jesse's back to being down 100.
He's got a sweet overlap play of Hedgie down the side of Ovarian on the right hand side, but
Nigel's on 318 now to Jesse's 217.
a 35 for Hedgie, but you're just killing the board.
Yeah, what do you do that doesn't destroy the board?
What about hyped? HYPED through the D. Through PE rather.
Yep.
42.
Yeah,
Keep MIGE.
Sets up the H for a lane.
Yeah.
Doesn't really disturb much else.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess E column is a lane that gets blocked off, but it's a difficult lane.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks like that top scores, so that's probably the play here.
It's the top score and the only thing that's going to open up that left-hand side for anything worthwhile.
Once hyped goes down, then maybe Nigel plays along pen 8s in the B column.
Yeah.
And then that takes it out, but at least it makes him spend a turn taking that out.
Absolutely.
All that stuff, and plus then you get A column back depending on what he uses to overlap.
Yeah. Nigel one letter away from Berry Berries.
Still have about a couple dozen people looking around, peeking in, watching the curious creatures who are encaged in transparent aluminum.
Just to translate for those listening in the UK, that's transparent aluminium. Jesse playing Jim. HIED is theoretically a stronger keep than MIGE, but you sacrificed a lot of points. You're killing floaters. Yeah, it's missed the opportunity really to develop that left-hand side of the board, which is dead at the moment. It needs to be opening.
Yes.
And also, Nigel is doing what he does very well. Although in this case, I'm not sure whether it's deliberate, but the board is forming so that the only bingos that will go down are going to be face value. So if you look at the floaters, the E of Vibia, it's all face value coming down from the E. The R of Vibia, it's all face value. The A of Ovarian is pretty much all face value. So we find ourselves to scores of 3-1-8 to Nigel and 2-5-2 to Jesse. So Jesse's only 66 points drift. But
yeah, it looks manageable, but you're also down the turn.
yeah. So yeah, Nigel just ploughing through the tiles now, playing Scriber for 36, putting up to a 3-5-4 to 2-5-2, so it puts him 100 points clear.
Yeah, and a lot of players, when they get a lead, they try and block and block, and it's like trying to hold the ocean in your hands, and it all falls through. But if you keep the scoring pressure on, if you can score 36, can score 30 every single turn, it makes it really difficult for anyone to mount any sort of comeback.
Absolutely.
Just because instead of picking up, 60 points net on your bonus, you're picking up 30 or 35. So that's something that, beginning and intermediate level players fall victim to quite often.
Yeah. How many times have you gotten into a defense mode only to be overhauled by an unexpected bingo, and then your opponent picks the X, and then all of a sudden you're behind on a board that you yourself has closed off. Nigel's very good at creating multiple openings to come back. I mean, let's not forget that the Z is still out, of course, and that massive Bez opening is still there.
Yeah.
So Jesse does have some Hail Mary options here, which could somehow get him back into it, but
the A in Ovarian is situated in a place that's
true.
Or ZO or ZO. Either one will score a lot of points.
It's one of those situations where Jesse's probably quite happy that those openings are there. If his opponent's got it, then he's going to lose anyway, but he needs them to be there, because a bingo isn't going to be enough. A bingo plus Nigel then having a 30-point move means he's still going to be 50 behind.
Yeah, I think the path home for Jesse involves pulling a bonus, pulling the blank,
Yeah,
another bonus, and then maybe the Z on top of it,
yeah,
which stranger things have happened.
absolutely, yeah. I think he's looking at hoped here. Could this be prophetic? $33 points for hoped, leaving the H floating, which obviously combines well with the C, leaving the R of Ovarian, which also combines well with the keep, and the M isn't too bad. So yeah, hoped goes down.
Jesse has a new hoped.
That's finally developing that left-hand side of the board, which maybe should have been developed on the last move. Nigel already has Kudu set up on his rack, which is likely to go down the side of Penates. It's an interesting one because given what we were talking about, that Jesse needs not only a bingo, but he also then has to play a big Z play. Nigel hasn't got something like Ked set up, because Nigel does play defensively. We've seen the defensive play. So Ked down the side of Ovarian takes out the floaters, kills the Z position. Kudu, the benefit of Kudu would be that it would block the plays down that left-hand column, but that left-hand column wasn't open, so maybe he'd already realised what Jesse was going to play.
Kudu and Ask also takes out the possibility of crossing the Z there.
True. So the scores now, Jesse's gone up to 285. So there's 69 points in it. Jesse does have 2 bingos through an R, but sadly not through these R's. Agasori and Asuich. Kudu would be an interesting one in that Nigel does have the O. And from Nigel's position, there aren't many front hooks to the DE that he's going to be setting up, so if he's playing up the left-hand side, sort your rack out. You've got one of the few tiles that goes in the front of the DE.
Yeah, and what goes in front of the UT that scores? Nothing.
Not a lot
that's
actually.
out.
Yeah.
There's a C out. Yeah, that's the worst case.
Yeah, we have in the display behind us, I think I might have mentioned, there's an opportunity to vote for the new words that you want to see coming into the dictionary, and I think "wort" hasn't quite made it yet, but WUT would be beautiful. There's that Drook now.
Where might that go?
Underneath bed,
Yeah.
killing that Z position. I mean, that would be a good thing. That's the more dangerous Z position, because if you force him to play the Z down the side of Ovarian, he's blocking his own bingo opportunities. Whereas if he's able to offload the Z underneath BE, he's not damaging the bingo opportunities. So this is, I mean, if he plays Drook, that would be a prime example of Nigel utilising his opponent's move against them.
Yeah, and also there's no mice in the pool. All the S's are on the board. There's only the blank unseen, so Drook and that would be opening up a hook, but it would have to use the blank to take advantage. Nigel is unyoked through NY set up now. Which, I guess positionally, the next thing to come down would be something into the D, and then that would exhaust that quadrant of the board, or at least make it so, you know, there's a cat and mouse game going on with trying to open up a lane to find the real estate to put 7 tiles consecutively.
It's interesting that Nigel puts the words on his rack in order to consider them.
Yeah.
Because you would think he would be able to play around with them in his head, but I think because his learning style, he's a reader. He reads dictionaries. Maybe he needs to have them set up there so he can visualise what he's doing. This is all pure conjecture from my point of view, but.
Yeah, that's interesting. Most players don't do that so consistently.
Yeah. There we go, Nigel. Going back to the move I mentioned at the beginning, so we're playing Kudu. Takes him up to a score of 388 to Jesse's 285, so a 103 point lead, and Jesse with a clunky rack. And Nigel is picking out good tiles. Good scoring. He's got Tex at the top for 50 plus. I think we're pretty much there now with this World Championship, actually, unless something absolutely incredible happens on Jesse's side. Yo, Jesse, what can you do?
They are readying the balloons for the balloon drop. And the confetti. Unfortunately, they have a roof on their cage, so the balloons won't fall in, though some of the confetti might fall in the air holes. We just hope that the confetti doesn't fall on the electric board and cause a short circuit.
That would be unfortunate, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I'd hate for us to have to default to the player in 4th place at this year's World Championships if unfortunately these two and the 3rd place can't be contacted. But it's a burden I will take. I'd really like to see if Nigel win this, you know, just gets up quietly, lifts up his beard and releases maybe a dove of hope out into the world. I think that would be a beautiful gesture.
Yeah, the last couple times when he's released one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, it was really disappointing.
Yes, but it seemed best on the day.
Crowd of people gathering, pointing, running sims on their phones.
That simulation's not the game where you have to decide whether to go to a party wearing a bandana or stilettos. So there's 12 tiles in the bag. So Jesse can't get 2 bonuses. So the blank is still unseen. But so is the Z. So are the Z and the X. So Jesse plays Guy for 19. Taking him up to 304, so he's 84 points adrift. From his point of view, he'll think it's going to be a challenge to get back into this, but he won't know quite how much of a challenge until Nigel's next move goes down. So now 9 tiles in the bag. So Nigel ideally will want to play 3 tiles. So leave only 6, so that Jesse definitely can't bingo twice.
That'll be the advantage of Tex over Ox or X.
Well, the question is though, if he plays, could he lose to a Z play and then a bingo? If he plays Tex, would a Z play be enough? So 63, 4, 5, 6, 270, 4, it's nip and tuck. He's only going to play 2 tiles, which will leave 7 in the bag. But he has kept, I mean the Q is still unseen as well, so he's kept the U as insurance. Oh, and he's picked out the Z. Oh, wow. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to call it here. Jesse has, well, I'm going to call it, Jesse has a beautiful play off the OS of Ossitated, if he sees it. But I'm also going to call that as a 0% win, because Nigel can whack down Zoo straight away. So the score's now Nigel 442. So he's got a 138 point lead over Jesse on 304, unfortunately. So Jesse, even if he sees the bonus, is going to lose. And Nigel Richards goes on to win the World Championship. Now holding both the UK, let's play Zoot, sorry, not Zoo, holding both the English and the French World Championship titles. Spoke to him the other night, he said the next thing in the plan is Spanish. So can he hold all 3 at once?
If he has 2 in one hand, he may drop it. May need to strap one to his head or something.
Yeah, this is true.
But we are counting down to the moment. Nigel is just under 11 minutes and Jesse is closing in on 5 minutes remaining. So basically just a matter of time, knowing which tiles are on Nigel's rack and what plays are about to
The blank is still
Go
unseen. I
down.
mean, Nigel doesn't really make any difference. 7 in the bag. So the very best sequence now is going to be that Jesse is going to play Occitated for 89, which will take him to 393, but then Nigel will play Zoot for 67, which will take him to 509.
Then Jesse will have QWY blank.
Oh, you'll have Kujibo. Oh no,
Yeah.
that's spelled with a K, isn't it?
Right.
Gee. And the thing is here, Jesse can't even accidentally block Nigel's Q play, sorry, Z play, because he has 2.
I think if it all goes down, Zoot will block QWERTY.
The ultimate killer. I see people wandering past now with Scrabble balloons.
Yeah, Jesse, it's a difficult find Occitated from OS, and so he fishes off 1.
This fishes off a tile, leaves 7, no,
6,
6 in the bag
6
now.
in the bag.
Yeah. So Nigel is going to play Zoot, leaving 2 in the bag. Jesse will draw the cue now, which will show. Oh no, he hasn't. Okay. I was going to say that will show that this is very much sealed, but no. Nigel's going to play. Well, is he going to play Zoot?
Does set up the Y that's in the bag.
I think he might just play Zoe because it'll kill the floaters.
Of course, if you play Zoot, you're pretty sure Jesse doesn't have the Y after fishing the T.
Yeah, true. I suppose from a spread point of view, what you don't want to do is to set up a massive Y play that your opponent can then bingo out. Because by playing Zoot, you're not killing the floaters of Ovarian as well. So you're not only creating an opportunity for your opponent to score 40 or 50 and then bonus. You don't need to. So I think maybe just ZO.
In the upper level of the atrium here, there are people walking by, looking, people sitting, chatting, eating their lunch or their afternoon tea, not realizing that they're looking on a piece of Scrabble history.
Well, what's great is that people are walking past, but they're stopping. I don't mean stopping and just fully turning and staring, but they're actually stopping because they're genuinely intrigued by what's going on, and they can't keep their eyes away. And I mean, it's amazing that Nigel's able to play completely naked at this point. I mean, it'd be better if they could look at the board, but hey ho, at least it's got them looking. So he just played Zoe. Nigel, of course, now has Grouch. Aye. So this could really seal this one. So Jesse won't block the floaters of Ovarian because he'll be thinking, I want to bonus out. I think he's pretty much certain now the game is gone. So he's going to fish off the W. And then Nigel's going to play Groutier after a minute and a half of thinking. Yeah, Jesse plays Jaw, and that is it. That leaves 3 in the bag. Nigel will play Groutier. Come on, Nigel. You surely can't think about this for too long.
Nigel doodling a picture this time of himself lifting the trophy.
I wonder if he'll play grouty and be frustrated with himself that Jesse goes out with lasseted. Scores now 5-0-7 to Nigel and 3-2-9 to Jesse. Yeah, Groutier is going down. And that is, yeah, game over. 68 points, taking Nigel to 575. Jesse's going to play out with lasseted.
Oh, he's got
Oh,
Maledict.
he's got Maledict, even better. Yeah, nice play.
Nigel eats the cue.
Nigel eats the cue. Sweet victory, but not. 95 from Maledict, taking Jesse to, well, plus the eaten cue, takes him to 4-5-2. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great pleasure to commentate on this very exciting final, particularly exciting third game. But I give you your Mattel 2018 World Scrabble Champion, the greatest of all time, as they call him, and certainly true today. New Zealand's Nigel Richards, for the 4th time, the English Scrabble World Champion. Thank you so much for joining us. As I say, it's been a delight to follow this. I'm sort of quite happy that Nigel won, because now I can say I've been knocked out by the winner rather than also ran. So
Likewise, except the opposite.
What are your thoughts on the matchup today, Chris?
Yeah, Jesse fought hard. It looks like he had some nerves in the final game, but
Yeah.
you know, it's always very little margin for error when you play Nigel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need some luck with the tiles.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jesse fought valiantly.
Yeah, I think that third game was great, and it showed the subtleties and the bouncing backwards and forwards of the setups and counter setups. Really exciting play, and it was great that we could see it happen in this this environment with a lot of people looking on. I think even more are being attracted now that they heard the round of applause, wondering who this man is who's shaking another man's hand in this cube.
So we'll be
so.
back shortly with the swimsuit competition.
So thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I think we'll keep the video going for a little while, so you'll see what's going on. But we're off now to talk to people about what's going on and see if we can get Nigel to say a few words as well. Thanks for listening.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, no. Wait, what are you looking for?
Handshake.
Oh, sorry. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure. Always. Just lean back in there for a second. Would you mind? Then? Would you step down? I'm afraid not. Majesty's Press Association. I gotta look serious. If you wouldn't mind. Should I look sad? No. You with the handshake. Another way you're just looking at the board.